Welcome to This Explainer, everyone. Today, we're diving right into some truly fascinating and honestly highly paradoxical ideas. We're going to explore the worldview of Guide Shufeng, the founder of Life Chanyon. His foundational texts literally take our most deeply ingrained assumptions about right and wrong, good and bad, and just completely flip them on their head. It's going to be a wild ride, so let's get into it. Just listen to this statement straight from Guide Shufeng. He says, "Pure kindness ultimately harms everyone. Only kind evil can save people." I mean, wow. Let that sink in for a second, right? From the time we're little kids, we are taught to be kind, to nurture, to protect. But Guide Shufeng is actually arguing that what society broadly accepts as kindness is usually a trap, and that what might look like evil to us, well, that might actually be our salvation. So how do we even begin to unpack these claims? Well, we've got a roadmap. First, we'll look at Shufeng's philosophical paradox. Second, we'll ask, what exactly is kind evil? Third, we'll look at the flip side. What is evil kindness? And finally, we'll wrap up with a concept called flying out of the nest. All right, starting off with Section 1, Shufeng's philosophical paradox, and understanding his unique approach. Now, it's absolutely crucial to establish right up front that everything we're discussing today comes explicitly from the founder of Life Chanyon, Guide Shufeng. We're stepping into his specific philosophical framework to impartially examine his ideas on human development. And what's really cool about his methodology is that he doesn't just bog you down with dense, abstract theory. Instead, he uses these incredibly relatable everyday anecdotes. We're talking stuff you'd see on a nature documentary or even just drama at your own workplace. And he uses those to explain some pretty radical shifts in societal and spiritual thinking. Moving right along to Section 2, what is kind evil and the story of the mother bird. To explain this, Guide Shufeng shares an anecdote about watching a nature documentary. Picture this: a mother bird is just violently driving her baby out of the nest. To anyone watching, it looks, well, incredibly cruel. The baby bird is panicking, frantically resisting, desperately trying to squeeze back into the safety of the nest. But the mother, she shows zero sympathy. None. She's just flapping and squawking, physically forcing it out. But then, what happens? The baby stumbles, falls toward the grass, and suddenly, it discovers its wings. It discovers the absolute, undeniable joy and freedom. Guide Shufeng argues that the mother's seemingly cruel action was actually a profound act of salvation. Without it, that little bird would literally never fly. And he didn't just theorize about this bird nest philosophy. He actually applied it to raising his own son. He aggressively pushed him toward total independence. His writings actually lay out a specific timeline for this. At age 13, his son was put in charge of cooking all the family dinners. By 14, he was learning to drive. At 16, the kid was managing a student company and driving himself to school. And then, when it came time for university, Guide Shufeng straight up told him he wouldn't pay for those expensive elite schools. He forced his 18-year-old son to independently research universities, get his own visas, buy the tickets, and travel abroad to study completely alone. Now, to an outsider, that might seem like a shockingly harsh way to parent. But the result? His son thrived. He stepped into a much bigger world and found vast freedom and academic success. So the big takeaway here is that Guide Shufeng views this kind evil as necessary on a much, much wider scale. Basically, kind evil is uncomfortable, tough love. It's the kind of pressure that forces independence, prevents reliance, and ultimately saves people from disaster. According to his writings, he believes this is the exact strategy we need for handling society's ignorant, destructive, or even just lazy individuals. When reasoning completely fails and people are blindly marching toward a cliff, well, polite conversation just isn't going to cut it. You have to use kind evil to aggressively snap them out of their destructive habits before they pull themselves and everyone else down with them. Okay, so let's flip the coin. Section 3. What is evil kindness and the story of the lost fortune? Guide Shufeng anchors this concept in a deeply personal business anecdote. Before going abroad, he was helped out by a CEO, a guy who was a true benefactor to him. Sometime later, Guide Shufeng is overseas and spots this massive, incredibly lucrative market opportunity, the kind of deal that could have made the CEO billions of dollars. So he reaches out. The CEO was thrilled and immediately appoints him as the overseas manager. To secure this immense wealth, Guide Shufeng makes a super basic request. He just needs an office, a car, and a phone line. But then, crickets. Absolute silence. The whole deal just died. Why? Because that CEO listened to the overprotective, so-called good advice of the people around him. Guide Shufeng actually documented the exact words these friends and colleagues used. According to him, these are the types of phrases that cloak suspicion and small-mindedness in a disguise of genuine care. You know the ones. Things like, oh, be careful, or he has wild ambitions, you really must guard against him, or everyone's favorite, I am only saying this for your own good. The vice presidents, the CEO's wife, his close friends, they all wrapped their own fear and jealousy in this warm, fuzzy blanket of caring advice, and the result? They completely destroyed a massive, life-changing opportunity. When we compare these two concepts directly, it perfectly captures Guide Xufeng's belief. Think about it. Kind evil appears cruel at first, right? But it forces growth and leads straight to freedom. On the flip side, evil kindness appears so caring and supportive. But in reality, it instills fear, ruins potential, and destroys futures and relationships. Guide Xufeng argues that what society constantly praises as kindness is very often the exact thing that ruins nations, breaks up families, and destroys faith. Meanwhile, the perceived evil that brutally shoves us out of our comfort zones, well, that's actually the only thing propelling humanity forward. Which brings us to our final part, Section 4, Flying Out of the Nest and Escaping the Trap. Here, Guide Xufeng asserts a really striking statistic. He claims that an astonishing 98% of humanity is currently trapped inside a nest. 98%. They're huddled together in comforts, completely unaware of the vast sky right above them, and utterly terrified of the open air. So, what exactly are these nests holding us back? According to the texts of Life Chanwan, Guide Xufeng argues that these long-term nests are our conventional structures, primarily autocratic systems and traditional religions. He posits that our long-term reliance on these deeply entrenched societal and spiritual structures is just a dead end. Staying in these nests means living a life filled with comforting but ultimately paralyzing dreams. To stay in the nest, he argues, is a path that leads nowhere fast. And this is where Life Chanyan comes in. They act as the mother bird. According to its founder, Guide Xufeng, the ultimate mission of Life Chanyan is to enact this kind evil on a massive, global scale to save humanity from impending disaster. Their goal is to aggressively push humanity out of its comfortable, paralyzing nests and force us toward true freedom. They see humanity standing right on the edge of a cliff, and they believe the absolute only way to save us is to stop coddling everyone with evil kindness and start pushing us to actually fly. So I want to leave you with a really provocative final question, straight from Guide Xufeng's writings. It's meant to challenge you to look at your own life. He asks, 98% of people are currently in the nest. Don't you want to fly freely like a bird? It really forces you to deeply consider whether the comforts, the structures, and the so-called kindness you rely on every single day are actually the very things keeping you from taking flight.